Okay, welcome to Double G's Garage. So today we're going to put some seat upholstery on this 64 Beetle, and I had mentioned that it's a budget restoration. We're not doing a full restoration. We're focusing strictly on cost, trying to get an older car back on the road for the least amount of money and the least amount of headaches. So I'm doing a lot of shopping around, a lot of finding used parts, used wheels. I actually found used interior, something I've never really done before, but having done dozens and dozens of interior restorations on Volkswagens in the past, I found a set of TMI brick red seat upholstery in really great shape that we're going to put back on, and it's got just enough use on it to kind of fit with the theme of the car. So I think it's going to look really good. I've already finished the back seats, so we're getting ready to do the front seats, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about that and show you what I'm doing to restore the front seats using some inexpensive used seat upholstery. Alright, hello everybody. As you can see, the MG is no longer taking up space in the garage. We now have the 64 Beetle project in here, and thanks to Chris, my buddy Chris, yesterday we got a lot of stuff knocked out. Okay, in case you were wondering what happens to your floor pans when they rust, well, this is where your floor pans go when they're going to die. Big old pile of rust and crud, and that's what Chris and I pulled out of this yesterday. So if you wondered where they go, here's where they go. Okay, here's what I got done yesterday. Some, of course, used brick red TMI seat upholstery. I put it on the rear seat yesterday, getting ready to do the front seats today, and I'll show you how I'm doing that. But I think they came out great. I mean, again, it's going to be a car that I'm going to use, I'm going to drive. I'm not worried about, you know, it getting dirty or damaged or nicked or scuffed, and the seats have just enough use to kind of fit with the theme of the car itself, which is not going to be restored. So I think they came out really good. It matches the color combination that I'm wanting to put back in there. So we'll do the front ones here in a minute. So one of the most difficult parts of these projects is, of course, locating those 10mm sockets that you can never find because you've left them somewhere from the last project. So these front seats, really easy to get apart. Just a couple of tins that you take off on each side. And then you have to pry the actual arms of the seat apart so that it'll come off of the stud. And then once you do that, it pretty much falls right off. So we'll sit the back to the side, and we'll start with the bottom. If you look at the bottom, and again, one thing I wanted to talk about as I'm doing this is a lot of times we can over-restore these Volkswagen seats, and the factory horsehair that comes in them has just enough padding and just enough support to work really nice, and gives you the contour that you need for the seat to actually look the way it's supposed to. If you buy some of the aftermarket foam pads, it tends to overstuff the seats, and I don't know, the best way I know how to describe it is it's springy, it's bouncy, it looks like an overstuffed cushion on your couch. So anytime that I can get away with reusing the original horsehair, or using like Wolfsburg West makes the reproduction horsehair, it keeps the more natural contour to the seat, and it doesn't overstuff it, and the seat upholstery looks better when you put it back on. Keep in mind with this one, I'm not following a normal procedure. So upholstery guys, upholstery shops, I'm sure you're going to blow me up when you see this video. Not my intent to show anybody the proper way on these, because like I said, this is a budget restoration. I'm doing things a little bit different. I'm actually going to leave the old seat upholstery and these are not covers I'm putting on. This is upholstery I'm putting on top of the old upholstery. So to keep the contour and to keep the padding from falling apart and to keep the cost down and all the other good reasons, I'm going to install the TMI seat upholstery over top of the old seat upholstery that's already here. You can see what kind of shape it's in. It's not the upholstery shot, but the pads are not bad at all. And it's going to provide just enough support, and it's going to help hold the old horsehair together so that it's not falling apart. If I was to take the cover off, I would have to start all over and do what would be a complete full upholstery restoration, and that's not my intent with this car. So we're going on the budget side of it again, and we're going to reuse as much as possible. If I was doing the full restoration on this, obviously I would take it apart, I would paint all the frames, I would check all the springs, I would remove the old horsehair from the bottom. If you've never done these before, when you start taking these apart, it's old, it's brittle, it's 50-year-old seat upholstery. It's going to fall apart and you'll have big chunks of horsehair everywhere. I'm going to try to retain that. So what I'm going to do, and typically what I would do, is I would put a layer of burlap over the seat springs. I would hog ring it in place. You'll see what those are here during the next part of this. But I would either use reproduction horsehair, which would be the preference, or if I could save the old ones, I would put burlap on there. What the burlap does is it protects the horsehair from the springs and keeps it from deteriorating and keeps it in place, and it makes for a better restoration. This one, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to pull it apart. I'm going to take this edge off, and what I'm going to do is get to the point where I can attach the new cover. I'm actually going to trim this one back, leave it in place, put the other seat upholstery on top of it, and connect it, just like you would connect it if you were doing a complete reupholstery job. Now what I did with the seat upholstery bottom before I'm putting it on is I set it in front of a heater so that it would be real pliable and kind of, it's a little cold out today, and it'll have some stretch to it when I put it on. The stretching part's not really going to come right now at this phase. It's going to come later in the process, but I still want it to be able to move to where I want it so I can get my seams all lined up while I'm installing this. Okay, so for the backs, I'll use basically the same procedure that I use for the bottoms, except I'll be, instead of using the metal barbs or tabs that are in there, I'll be using what's called hog ring and hog ring pliers. So this will show you what the hog ring looks like, and then it has a special pair of pliers that has a notch in it that they fit into so that it holds it, and this is actually what will hold the seat upholstery together down at the bottom underneath where you can't really see it, as you'll crimp it with these hog rings. So I'll show you that here in just a minute. What you want to do with these is start off with the seat upholstery rolled about halfway inside out, and that'll give you a chance to pull it extra tight at the top. Now obviously I'm using used seat upholstery, so it's not as big of a deal. It's already been stretched once before, and it's a little bit more pliable than a brand new set. And another trick, if you're doing a brand new set of seat upholstery, is you can use plastic wrap, or you can use some poly film, some clear film, and you can put it over the top of the seat upholstery and just leave it in there. But what it'll do is it'll allow it to slide a little bit easier when you're installing them. And so it's a pretty good trick that I learned a while ago from some body shop guys, to get the seat upholstery to slide down on there. Now you have to pay attention to where your seams are while you're doing this, so that you get it all lined up properly, because once you pull it down on there, you're not going to be able to adjust it that well side. So get your seams lined up. I'm talking about this edge right here, and then just start moving it down. Of course, if you have any areas like I'm running into right here where it's pushing those edges off, I'm probably going to end up having to cut that off, because I'm going to see it underneath if I'm not careful. So in this case, just pull it off, but I don't want anything bunching up underneath it. I want to get as close to the original edge lined up as I can, and then I carefully pull it down, and then from there I'll be able to unroll it the rest of the way. Again, the warmer it is, the easier it's going to be to work with, because the vinyl does have some stretch to it. Okay, well there you go. There's the finished product on my budget seat restoration. Again, I wouldn't even call it a restoration. It's just putting some used TMI seat upholstery on there to make it usable again. Very inexpensive. There's a few wrinkles from where the package had it folded up, but I'll sit it out in the sun, and you can see it turned out pretty doggone good. So we'll have these back in the car before too long, and so that's pretty much it for today. Thanks, and next time we'll pretty productive day. Got almost all the seat upholstery ready to go back in the car, and then the next project, we'll be working on the engine, we'll be working on the floor pan. Then we'll sort out, once we get it running, what's going on with the brake situation. Well, thanks for stopping by. If you like what you see on Double G's Garage, please show us you care. Hit the like, hit the subscription button, pass it along to some friends, and keep up with what we got going on here in Double G's Garage.